Hey Friar Town, my name's George Guay, and welcome to a new show called Just Say Guay. I used to do this show in my hometown, Bedford, Massachusetts, with my guys Nick Giglio and Greg Dolan. Now I'm doing it here with Matt St. Jean. It's a sports show, so I'm going to talk about sports, and let's get going with the MLB. I'd like to talk about the Boston Red Sox. Overall, I found that their season was disappointing. It was a lot of drama, and this team seemed like a bunch of teenagers at times. They signed Chris Sale, which was a big signing. He pitched very well. However, in the end, they only won one more playoff game than they did in the year before. And I think overall they really missed David Ortiz in that locker room. And I was glad they got rid of John Farrell. I think that the players showed no sign of respect towards him. And they signed Alex Cora, a former player, to manage the team. And I think it would have been better if they had Jason Varitek, but we'll see how it goes. Alex Cora was a great guy here. He was a great player for the Red Sox. I think the players that the Red Sox need to get rid of, are Dustin Pedroia, and I think also, not just because his knee is failing slowly, but because he's a terrible leader in the locker room. Once again, we miss David Ortiz. I think they need to get rid of Xander Bogaerts. I think that we've just given him too many opportunities to prove himself as a strong player here, and I think his time is up. And overall, if we're going to assess this team, I think they definitely need a middle-of-the-lineup bat, someone that can provide some pop in the lineup. They do have Hanley Ramirez. Andrew Benintendi, my favorite player, had a great season. If Jackie Bradley Jr. didn't play so phenomenally in the outfield, like that catch he had on Aaron Judge on Sunday Night Baseball, I would say it would be time to get rid of him, but he's a great defensive asset. And also David Price, who criticized Dennis Eckersley in a terrible way, needs to pitch better than the way he did in the bullpen. He needs to pitch like this all year. Now, I know it's tough to come from a market where no one cares if you mess up, such as Tampa Bay, to a place like Boston, but David, you're the highest paid pitcher on the team. I think the highest paid player on the team, and it's time to step up and help this team win a World Series, or at least get there. Now, my thoughts on the World Series, what a game 2 it was. 8 home runs, are you kidding me? And I think overall, as the series goes on, I think the Los Angeles Dodgers are going to break their 29-year streak and win the World Series. They bought the World Series practically, but they have a lot of great players. Cody Bellinger, Yasiel Puig, and a great pitcher, and Clayton Kershaw. However, personally, if you have a heart, I hope that Houston wins it. I really hope after Hurricane Harvey that they can win this thing for the city. I remember when the Red Sox won the World Series after the Boston Marathon bombings, and it felt so good that the city rallied behind the Red Sox. It didn't cure the city, but it definitely helped in the healing process. Moving on to the National Basketball Association, let's talk about the Celtics. Man, what a way to start the season. 5 minutes in, and bam, Gordon Hayward breaks his ankle and fractures his tibia. I think that the injury was really terrible, but I think it could have been a lot worse. Initially, I thought he broke his leg, and it could have been a career-ending injury. However, it seems like that he will be okay, and I think that he's going to be okay physically. Sports medicine is so great today, and guys bounce back. But I think it's all up here. Is he going to go up for an alley-oop again? How's he going to feel after his first dunk? But I think that the Celtics as a team, I think they'll finish just like where they were last year. They'll lose again to Cleveland in the Eastern Conference Finals, maybe in 6 games this year. But it's just tough because without Gordon Hayward, they're kind of back to where they were last year. But it's just a slight upgrade with Kyrie Irving. But Kyrie Irving has been great. He played last night with 21 points and 7 assists. And same with Al Horford, 29 points and 7 rebounds in a game against the Milwaukee Bucks. I was even more impressed with Al Horford in his game against Kristaps Porzingis, the unicorn. Kristaps was on a tear, and Al Horford really played him well. Now, with the Celtics having this injury, I think it's going to be a season where we see Jason Tatum, a player who I'm older than, I can't believe. I think he's going to grow a lot faster. He has shown great strides right now, and he was the first player to get a double-double in his rookie debut for the Celtics since Dave Cowens and Larry Bird. So what great company to join. And I think Jaylen Brown will develop better as well. I think the fact that he scored, I believe it was 27 points on LeBron James on opening night. Maybe he was motivated because it was LeBron James, but hey, if he does that every night, he'll be an all-star. And I think he's going to be one of the better players in the league. Just give him some time. But the future is bright for the Celtics overall. Now, in the Western Conference Finals, I think it's going to be the Oklahoma City Thunder versus the Golden State Warriors. I don't think the San Antonio Spurs get back there. I think that the Oklahoma City Thunder have too much talent with Paul George and Carmelo Anthony making their way to Oklahoma City with Coach Billy Donovan. However, although the team does have a lot of egos, let's be real, it's definitely one of the top big threes in the NBA. We'll see how Carmelo Anthony does. It seems like he's playing in a situation where he cares. Now, moving on to the NBA Finals. I think it's going to be part 4, or episode 4, whatever you want to call it, of this NBA Finals saga between the Golden State Warriors and the Cleveland Cavaliers. I personally hate this because it's just like the Celtics-Lakers in the 60s. You're just going to see the same teams in the finals again. And I think that Golden State wins it with the firepower that they have. You have Kevin Durant, Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, and Draymond Green. You know how much Draymond Green hates Cleveland. He even said in an interview he was pissed off that they didn't sweep them, which I was shocked that Draymond Green said that. I thought he'd be happy that he won the championship, but I guess it wasn't enough, and he clearly wants more. And they got better. They had a Jordan Bell, a very good rookie out of Oregon. He threw that alley-oop to himself on a fast break, which was a very bold move. I've never seen that. Glad he earned him a spot on SportsCenter top 10 plays. But they added Nick Young, and he went off in the first game against the Rockets. Although they lost it, but hey, you're going to have hiccups in the season. I think the Golden State Warriors are just too good, and I think that they're going to be the team that dominates the NBA until the Celtics take over. I think the Golden State Warriors will eventually break up. You know, someone will want money, someone will leave, someone will get hurt, who knows. But I think this team is here to stay, and I think as a result, yes, I'm calling it right now, LeBron James is out of Cleveland. We know how it happens when he loses in the finals and situations get tough. Just like the first time when he was in Cleveland. He couldn't beat the Celtics. What'd he do? He went to Miami, which was a lack of character, showed a lack of character because Michael Jordan lost 3 years in a row to the bad boy Pistons. You know what he did? He kept grinding it out, got better, and he beat them. And then LeBron James, after he said he was going to win 8 championships in Miami, not 1, not 2, not 3, not 4, not 5, not 6, not 7, we all remember, he got his butt kicked by an NBA Finals record margin. That's the most any player has gotten beaten in the NBA Finals. To the San Antonio Spurs, and he went home to Cleveland. And I was shocked that Dwayne Wade went to Cleveland, to be honest. I thought he joined the Thunder because LeBron left him high and dry in Miami. As you know, he didn't even tell Dwayne Wade that he was leaving. That's the same thing that Kevin Durant did to Russell Westbrook. Maybe Dwayne Wade just loves LeBron James that much. I don't. Moving on to the awards, I'm picking the MVP to be Giannis Antetokounmpo. You know, a lot of people say it's going to be LeBron James, but I think that Giannis is on a tear. He's the first player in, I think, 30 years I saw on Instagram that to average 30, 10, and 5 in their first 5 games. And no wonder they call him the Greek Freak. How do you stop that guy in the fast break? I was watching the game last night. He almost ended Aaron Baines' career with that dunk last night. I don't know how Aaron Baines would have been able to recover if Giannis made that. I know LeBron can win it, but I think that the fact that Giannis has less to work with on his team, I think that he is going to prove that he's the MVP of the league. And he's only 22 years old, which is crazy. He's only 2 years older than I am. He's not going to hit his prime for another 4 to 5 years. Moving on to Defensive Player of the Year, I'm going with Kawhi Leonard. I think he's going to prove he's still the best player in the NBA defensively-wise. He could win MVP. It wouldn't surprise me. But I think he's going to add another Defensive Player of the Year to his resume. Now, Coach of the Year, I think this man has been robbed of it the last 3 seasons. I think Brad Stevens is going to win it, given the fact that Gordon Hayward went down, and he's still going to have his team recover fast and go. I was so amazed at how that team recovered so quickly in the Cleveland game. They almost beat the Cavs without Gordon Hayward. I think every other team in the NBA, except the Warriors, because they're so stacked on talent, I think if they had a star player go down, I think they would have shut it down the whole night. Although the Celtics did lose the next night, it was a back-to-back against Milwaukee. They did beat Milwaukee last night. But Brad Stevens for Coach of the Year. I think he's the best coach in the NBA, other than Greg Popovich, but who's better than him? But I think that Brad Stevens, the way he coaches, I think it shows why Kyrie Irving wanted to come here, why Al Horford wanted to come here. Remember how everyone said that New York and Los Angeles is a free agent destination? Nope. I think Boston's turning into a free agent destination. And I'm hoping, I really hope this happens, but Rajon Rondo, our former player, who's been known to be a cancer in the locker rooms, is in New Orleans right now. And let's hope he breaks up the situation in New Orleans with Anthony Davis and DeMarcus Cousins. Maybe Anthony Davis would come here and be that cornerstone of the franchise. Can you imagine Al Horford, Anthony Davis, Kyrie Irving, Gordon Hayward, Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum, all a young team, except Al Horford. Be a very good team. I think we'd easily win the NBA Finals. Now, moving on to Friars hockey. It's finally back. They've gotten off to a good start. They lost last weekend and the weekend before that to BC, but they had an exciting win at the buzzer against Miami, Ohio. They took 2 games there. They won last weekend. I think it was against St. Lawrence the first night. I could be wrong. Sorry. They lost a lot of defensemen. They lost Kyle McKenzie, Captain Josh Munk, and arguably I think the best defenseman on that team last year, who's in the AHL right now, Anthony Florentino. They have a lot of coming back, though. They have Hayden Hockey, who's going to be in his second year in net, who's also a Montreal Canadiens prospect. You also have a lot of star power forwards coming back, including Winnipeg Jets prospect Eric Foley, Ryan Tate, who hasn't been drafted yet, but I think he will be. He definitely deserves to be. And Pittsburgh Penguins prospect Casper Bjorkquist. And I believe that this team could make a run at the national championship this year. They have so much star power coming back, and they lost a lot, but they didn't lose a whole lot. And they have one of the best coaches. I think he's the best coach in the country, Nate Lehman. The fact he turned his program around so fast and won a national championship and competes for one every year. I think the most improved player from what I saw against Boston College, with how strong he was on the puck and how fast he was and how well he played guys on contact, was Buffalo Sabres prospect Jacob Bryson. He's a sophomore. I think the future's bright for him and this team. Finally, moving on to Friars basketball. I'm so excited this team's back. I think it's going to be the most exciting year we've had, arguably in a while. I think maybe more exciting than the year Chris Dunn was a senior. We only graduated Casey Woodring. He was a great player that we had in this team. However, he did not play a lot, so it's not a huge loss. Sorry, Casey, if you're watching. We're returning a lot of great veteran leaders, including Kyron Cartwright and Rodney Bullock, who are 2 seniors who I think that could go in the running for Big East Player of the Year. We also have some great recruits. We have Nate Watson, DeJour Dickens, Mekhi Ashton-Lanford, who originally committed to UConn, but committed to Providence last minute. I'll talk about that more in just a minute. But we also have walk-on Andrew Fonts. But I think that we finally have someone, no offense to Ben Bentel, who can clog up the lane and really be a rim protector. When Ben Bentel played here, he was a great player offensively, but his length wasn't enough at the 5. He was only 6'8", 6'9". It's too short. If you remember the guy, Daniel Shefu on Villanova, he ate Ben Bentel up because he was so much taller and bigger. But now we have that with DeJour Dickens and Nate Watson. Nate Watson is a big player. And it was interesting because I was at the game the other night at Mohegan Sun, in which the benefits went to Hurricane Harvey relief. It was between UConn and Providence, and I met Jim Calhoun, by the way, which was an honor. It was every time Mekhi Ashton-Lanford touched the ball, he got booed. And that's because he committed to UConn and then went to Providence, like I said. And I think the most improved player in this team this year is going to be sophomore Alpha Diallo from New York City. I think that he is one of the players in the team. When you look at him, he has a great physique basketball-wise. He's got great length. He's also very strong. He can get to the rim and can shoot as well, mid-range, three-pointer. And I remember last year, the only thing that he struggled with was consistency. And that's going to happen because he was a freshman. Unless you're at Duke, Kentucky, or North Carolina, or Kansas, you're not going to ball out every game as a freshman. And I think he's definitely the one to look out for. And we have some great recruits coming in next year. 2 top 50 ones, by the way, which proves that we have signed 3 top 50 recruits in the last calendar year. Mekhi Ashton-Lanford, who's this year. We have A.J. Reeves coming in next year. And David Duke Jr., who signed with us about 2 weeks ago. And we stole him from Villanova. So how do you like that, Jay Wright? And I think it speaks a lot to Ed Cooley, the fact that he's getting all these star players now. And we can compete for not just maybe Big East championships, but hopefully national championships. And I seriously mean that because we're getting the best players. And I honestly think that Chris Dunn's story is the reason why some of these guys are coming here. Well, David Duke Jr. is from Providence. Maybe that helps. But I think that the fact that Chris Dunn didn't go to a star power school like Kentucky, Duke, Kansas, or North Carolina like he could have. He came to a school that was the right fit, and it worked out great for him. He was a top 5 pick in the NBA draft. And now he's playing with Ryan Arcidiacono, so see how that goes. Hopefully they become friends. I don't know if they were on the court a couple years ago. But I think that just shows that guys want to come here because they'll be remembered. We're not a program yet where guys are going to be legends like they are at Duke or North Carolina, Kansas, or Kentucky. But guys that go there, I feel like they get recycled because guys are just in and out. A couple years and then bam, you're forgotten. There's someone new. You know, we'll always remember Chris Dunn. We're always going to remember what Ben Bentel did. And I think we're going to remember Mekhi Ashton-Lanford, A.J. Reeves, David Duke, Nate Watson, all those guys, Kyron Cartwright. You know, well, there's a reason why Jalen Lindsey's shot against URI last year is in the highlight reel because it's one of the best shots in that rivalry because he will always remember that because he did something that really helped this school out. That's it for today. I'm George Guay. We'll be back next week. And go Friars.